After 3 days of testing in Bahrain, Mercedes sat at the top of every timing screen. Every headline screamed the same story: the silver arrows are back. But on the Ferrari side of the garage, team principal Fred Vasseur sat down for his media debrief and said something strange. He said, "The very positive thing is that no one is talking about us, and that he likes the situation. That's not how you talk when you're losing. That's how you talk when you know something nobody else does." And what Ferrari was hiding across those 3 days in the desert goes way deeper than lap times. Let's start with the move that set everything else in motion: the turbo. When Formula One killed the MGU-H for 22,000, it created a problem that every team knew was coming, but not everyone solved the same way. The MGU-H was the electric motor that kept the turbocharger spinning between gear changes and during throttle lifts. Without it, turbo lag is back. And that lag shows up most dramatically in one specific moment that happens at least once every race: the start. To get a 2026 car off the line, drivers now have to manually spool the turbo for roughly 10 seconds before the lights go out. That's 10 seconds of managing engine revs, gear selection, battery state, and clutch position all at once, while 20 other cars around you are doing the same thing with varying degrees of success. On day 3 in Bahrain, the world got its first look at just how bad this can get. Gabriel Bortoleto from Sauber summed it up perfectly. He said it's complicated, that after 5 seconds he already lost count. The engine is revving, it's going in and out of gear, and you need to release the clutch. He called it quite a mess. And keep in mind, this is last year's Formula 2 champion, a guy who won a championship under pressure. If the start procedure is overwhelming him on a quiet Tuesday in a test session, imagine 20 cars on the Melbourne grid with the world watching. Franco Colapinto gave everyone the visual. His Alpine started doing burnouts approaching the grid, came within centimeters of the wall, nearly collected the grass, then hit anti-stall pulling away and had to park at turn 1. Sergio Perez couldn't get his Cadillac moving at all, with Isaac Hadjar stuck behind him without enough space to even turn around. Multiple cars stalled across 3 days of testing. If the teams don't get on top of this before round 1, the opening lap of the 2026 season could produce one of the most chaotic race starts Formula One has ever seen. Now, here's where Ferrari's foresight starts to look brilliant. About 12 months before any of this happened, Ferrari's power unit designers chose a smaller turbocharger than their competitors. A smaller turbo spools faster. Less mass in the turbine means it reaches operating speed quicker, which means less lag, cleaner throttle response, and, crucially, easier race starts. George Russell noticed it from inside his Mercedes cockpit. He said Ferrari seemed to be able to run higher gears than other manufacturers, which probably means they have a smaller turbo. Gary Anderson, from the race, went deeper. He pointed out that Ferrari-powered cars stayed in second gear during the start procedure, while everyone else dropped to first to keep turbo speed up. That's not a software trick. That's a fundamental difference in engine architecture. But here's the part that elevates this from clever engineering to strategic mastery. When rival teams realized Ferrari's smaller turbo gave them a start advantage, they proposed a regulation change. They wanted to extend the start preparation window, giving all teams more time to spool their turbos before the lights went out. More time means bigger turbos can catch up. It would have wiped out Ferrari's edge. Ferrari blocked it. They voted against the change. And because the regulations required consensus, the proposal died. Ferrari protected an engineering decision they made a year earlier by using the political system to prevent competitors from erasing it. That's not just racing, that's strategic warfare. If you're enjoying this kind of deep analysis, hit subscribe. I break down Formula One technical stories like this every week, and the 2026 season is going to be full of them. Now, let's talk about what they did to the car itself, because the SF26 that rolled into Bahrain was a different animal from the one that ran at the Barcelona shakedown. Ferrari deliberately held back at Barcelona. They ran what the team internally calls the Spec A baseline, a conservative version of the car designed to establish reference data rather than chase performance. Think of it like zeroing a scale before you weigh anything. You need to know what your starting point looks like before you can measure improvement. Then Bahrain arrived and the upgrades started flowing. The front wing received a completely revised main plane. The central section changed from a drooped profile to a flatter design. And this matters more than it sounds. A flatter main plane creates more uniform airflow feeding into the underfloor. Think of it like straightening a garden hose. A kinked hose sprays water everywhere. A straight hose delivers a focused stream exactly where you need it. Ferrari's engineers wanted that focused stream of clean air hitting the floor and generating downforce precisely where their simulations said it would be most effective. The floor edges were updated with cuts near the rear wheels to manage tire wake turbulence. But the real showpiece was the diffuser. It extends aggressively beyond the rear wing support, creating an integrated structure that technical journalist Sam Collins described as featuring beautiful, intricate aerodynamic elements. Two small aerodynamic appendages on the upper crash structure work together with this diffuser, and the whole package is more aggressive than anything Mercedes or Williams brought to Bahrain. There's a reason Ferrari engineers were privately calling this car an airplane. The behavior in high-speed direction changes, the rear stability through fast transitions. That kind of composure only comes from aerodynamics doing exactly what the designers intended. And it's not just the big surfaces doing the work. Ferrari also switched from an all-pull rod suspension layout to push-rod actuation front and rear. Mark Hughes explained why. With push rods, the rockers move up and away from the floor area, keeping the airflow cleaner where it feeds into the new floorboards. Every millimeter of floor blockage costs measurable downforce, and in regulations where floor downforce is harder to generate than ever, those millimeters matter enormously. Both Ferrari and Mercedes share another detail that Hughes highlighted: a slot gap in the lower bodywork near the diffuser that works like a wing slot gap, energizing internal airflow without the traditional Venturi channels. He called it the diffuser equivalent of a wing slot gap. And Ferrari implemented a single central actuator for their active aerodynamic system, deliberately creating a slight delay between front and rear wing movements. That's not a limitation. It's a design choice that manages aerodynamic balance transitions more smoothly through speed changes. But all the aero cleverness in the world means nothing if the engine underneath detonates. And this is where Ferrari's testing story gets genuinely remarkable. The same power unit that ran at the Barcelona shakedown also ran for all 3 days in Bahrain. One engine, approximately 4,500 kilometers. That's roughly 7.5 Grand Prix distances on a single unit without a single mechanical failure.